Hi, this is Dan here. I hope you're doing really well. In this lesson, we're going to take this shape right here and apply those exact same notes to 7 different common rhythms. Let's start off with 8th notes. I'll play it first. Right, now that's just a straight 8th feel. It's very rocky. A good example of this is Basket Case by Greendale. I'll put a link below where you can listen to all these examples. But here we've just got straight 8s. 1, 2, 3, 4. Always be tapping your foot. Divide each beat into 2. Those are straight 8s. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. By the way, this shape we have a root. That's an A. A 5th away from that is an E. The flat 7th is a G, and the octave is the A. A very common set of notes that you can play anything over this, but that's what we're doing for now. Now let's see what happens when we take 8s, but this time we apply a shuffle to them. This is a common feel found in jazz as well, and it's where you take 2 8th notes, but they're now not straight. If you look at that symbol there, we've got 2 8th notes equals a quarter note and an 8th, but with a funny 3 on top. So if you take a triplet in every beat, you've got da 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 1 2 3 1 2 3. That's a triplet like that. If you tie the first 2 together and then play the last one, you get the swing feel. So it's da 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 da, and I'm sure you would have heard this before. Those are the beats. So it's da 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 rather than da 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 da. Used a lot in blues, used a lot in jazz. Let's take a look at 16th notes now, a very common bass rhythm. Bass players love playing 16th notes. They're quite challenging, they're quite funky, they're quite involved. James Jamerson used 16ths a lot in his Motown bass lines. Funk players of the ages have always played 16th notes. Check out any Tower of Power playing. What Is Hip is a great 16th note example. So very slowly. See how it's the same notes, root, and then root 5, flat 7, octave. This lesson's a bit of an ear training one as well. Tap your foot, nod your head. This time we're feeling 4 subdivisions per beat. That's what 16th notes are. You've got 4 beats in a bar, 4 per beat, 16th notes. So every time you're tapping your foot, you're subdividing. Either go 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and or doesn't matter. Compare straight 16th to a feel I love, swing 16th. These are straight. Swung. Very hard to hear that without the beat. Let's do the beat. That's used a lot in dance music and a lot in funk again. So this time, instead of going 1E and or digga digga digga, it's digga 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 digga. It's got that slight difference between the notes. It's a regular difference, but also you can play this in different ways. You can have different degrees of swing, and how you place the notes as a bass player is very much going to govern how it all feels. That's a very important word in bass playing. Let's move on to a tumbao, which is a Latin bass rhythm, and it's used a lot in Afro-Cuban styles of music. So I've got a percussion loop in the background here. I'm going to press play and find where beat 1 is and jump in. This is a syncopated rhythm. Syncopation is when the notes fall not on the beats, they fall a lot off the beats. This rhythm is very linked to the next one, but let's move on to dotted quarter to 8th notes. This is another staple of of pop and rock. A good example is Dreams by Fleetwood Mac. I can't remember the key, but if it's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's that. Let me play this example. Wrong one. Next one. So, a dotted quarter note. What the dot does is it adds half the value of the original note on. So a quarter note is worth 1 beat. The dot says add half of that on. So half of 1 is a half. So in total, a dotted quarter is 1.5 beats. Now the way to count that, and you have to count when you really want to go deep into rhythms, you're going 1, 2, 3, 4. When your foot taps the floor, those are the beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. When your foot comes up, those are the off beats, like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. If you think about reggae, 1, you know, the offbeat guitar patterns, that's a very obvious thing. So when you're counting a dotted rhythm like this, you need to be counting quite religiously. You've got 1.5 beats followed by an 8th note. So the rhythm is like this: 1 and 2 and. You need to hit the and. That's where the second note is. So the first note lasts for the 1, the and, and the 2. Okay, all of those beats, 1 and 2, 3 8th notes, are tied into that first note. This is why you have to count, because without knowing that, without being able to track that, you're going to be all over the place. So it's da, da, the next note is that. So you're counting this time, you're subdividing into 8th notes. So you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, and some people go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and I just know that every single beat there's 2 8ths. So it's so you're counting 3 in the first note, and then that's the 1. So very slowly, 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't do this when you play, but I'll do it to show you where the beats are. Once you internalize what a dotted quarter and 8th looks like and feels like, you'll just know it's that rhythm. That's what happens with rhythms, is that you learn them in that way. Okay, let's move on to the last one for this lesson, which is a 12/8 feel. Now this is, I love this. This is an example of a compound time signature. So we're still feeling 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. But before we had each beat being divided into 2, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Compound means it's now divided into 3, so we're still feeling 4, but we're going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That adds up to 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. A really good example of this is Hold the Line by Toto. But let me play this bass line without the drums and then with the drums. So it'd be like 1, 2, 3, do give Toto's Hold the Line a listen, because that is a very good example of where the drums really make it obvious. The hi-hats are going like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're hearing the subdivisions going on. Let's hear what this sounds like. Right, that is an example of 12/8. That's a really fun one to play. I love playing compound time signatures. You can really sort of get into them. So I'm going to put a link to that PDF down below. I want you to listen out for these in music. I'll put the examples all in that link, and you can download this PDF and go through it yourself. But listen out for rhythms. Rhythms are really important. I've got a playlist on rhythms. You can check that out as well. But really, as bass players, a large part of what we do is rhythms. I just used the same notes there, but it sounded different just because of rhythms. I hope you enjoyed that lesson. I'm sure I'll do more like this because I enjoy doing these ones. And, you know, rhythm practice for us bass players is gold, really. So if you have any questions, please leave them down below and I'll get back to you. Do subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of stuff, because I do one lesson every week and a short YouTube short every day. Thanks so much for watching. See you on the next one.